Hi everybody, welcome to Stalker, and in this video I'm going to try and attempt to do a beginner's guide to the different games and mods, both add-on and standalone mods that you can get for Stalker, so you can kind of better understand what you can play. And also we're going to do some simple graphical comparisons as well, because again all of this can get really complicated. Okay, so let's just dive in and go through it. So let me quit out of this so it doesn't affect what we're trying to do, and let's jump over and start talking about the different types of games that you can be running. So starting off on console, you can now play Stalker on console with the Legend of the Zone trilogy, and you can buy all these games separately, Call of Pripyat, Clear Sky and the original Shadow of Chernobyl, and they're very playable. I'm currently playing through Shadow of Chernobyl on the Xbox, and it is absolutely fantastic. This is what sort of triggered me to start investigating and playing lots of other aspects of Stalker as well. And you can normally buy it as a bundle, or you can buy them individually, wait for a sale. Obviously on the console ones, there's lots of quality of life improvements that have been made, bug fixes and controller support, so that's really good, and you can do the same thing on PlayStation. Now on PC, you can get the Stalker bundle. You can normally get this from Steam, and you can get it from GOG as well. And you can buy the games individually, Call of Pripyat, Clear Sky and Shadow of Chernobyl. So the original game is Shadow of Chernobyl, and then the prequel is Clear Sky, and then Call of Pripyat is coming after Shadow of Chernobyl. When they go on sale, they go really, really cheap. Highly recommended to play. And what I would say is that the overall advice from most people is, what you should do is, if you're interested in Stalker, play the vanilla Shadow of Chernobyl to start off with, and maybe all of the original trilogy, but at least Shadow of Chernobyl and probably Call of Pripyat. And then at the end of that, if you think, yeah, I'm really enjoying this, I want more Stalker, or I want different Stalker, then start investigating modding. These games, even though they're really old, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl came out in 2007, it still holds up. You know, as long as you're used to playing maybe games that aren't at the peak of the graphics pyramid, say things like DayZ or PUBG or Arma 3, as long as you're used to those games, you'll play these and go, okay, it doesn't look great, but you'll kind of be used to the janky inventories and stuff like that. But honestly, the gameplay and the gunplay holds up very, very well for a game that's almost 20 years old. So that's kind of that side of it. So there's Shadow of Chernobyl, the original one. I'll put links to all of these in the description below the video. There's Clear Sky, the prequel, and then you've got what did we have? That should be Call of Pripyat, that one. But I didn't put it on that. So you've got the original games that you can play in the vanilla format on console, and then you've got them and you play them vanilla on PC. Then we start getting into modding. Oh, before we go into modding, I should mention, of course, Stalker 2. So at the time of recording this video, which is at the end of August 2024, Stalker 2 is a couple of months away. When that comes out, this should be very exciting indeed, because it's going to be running on what's it coming on? It's coming on Unreal Engine 5, and they're saying it's going to have mod support as well, so that's going to be pretty cool. So Stalker 2, keep an eye out for that. If it's already out, fantastic. So now let's start talking about modding. Now on console, there are some mods that you can get, and if you launch the Xbox version, for example, you can go to mod.io, I think it is, and there's some simple texture mods and stuff like that. They're not complete remake mods and stuff. I mean, play around with them, see how you get on, but for me, just playing those vanilla was good enough. But let's talk about PC mods now. Now, if you're playing vanilla Shadow of Chernobyl, the first mod you're probably going to want is the ZRP mod, the Zone Reclamation Project mod. And this doesn't improve the graphics, but what it does do is fixes a load of bugs that were left in the game. And also it gives you the ability to change things like the difficulty, and have like basically a cheat menu as well, so you can spawn things in and you can teleport around the map, and lots of other things as well. So it's kind of sorting out the engine that runs the game. The game kind of looks the same. It'll run a bit smoother, but it looks the same. But this is kind of in the background and doing stuff. So that's a real good base mod to have if you want a vanilla experience. So if you want an experience where the base game doesn't change in terms of the story or the quest. Then you get things like, what else have we got here? On mod, if you go to somewhere like mod DB, there's loads and loads of mods here. But then you get something like the Absolute Structures texture pack and something like the Absolute Nature texture pack. Now what these do is they're just replacing and improving the textures that come with the game. So you can install something like, you can install ZRP, and then on top of that you can also install Absolute Structures and then Absolute Nature texture pack. And as you'll see when we look at the graphics comparison, that improves the look at the game. But again, it's the vanilla story and the vanilla quests behind it. After that, we then get to the mods. What these do is these actually change the gameplay and often the stories and quests in the game as well. So something like Stalker, Memories of the Zone, or Autumn, or Aurora 2. These work with the original game, so you have to have the original game, and you install these mods kind of on top of the original game, and they'll change the graphics, transform the graphics, make them look much better. Often they'll include ZRP as well, so they're improving the engine as well. But they'll give you different stories, different quests. So in effect, it can be like a sequel to Stalker as well, or additional stuff, and they're pretty cool again to play around with. Then you get the standalone mods. So where the previous ones were add-on mods, so you add them onto the game, these mods now are basically standalone games. What happened was the Stalker devs at some point, I don't know strictly the story behind it, I don't know if they said, look, anybody can use our assets as long as you don't make money out of it, or they just didn't go after people who did. I don't know if there's been an official statement about it, but anyway, what they've allowed people to do is basically rebuild the games as separate games with separate EXEs, separate executables. So things like Call of the Zone, and you've probably heard of Anomaly, and you've probably heard of Gamma, these things. So these are complete separate games, so you don't even have to buy Stalker in order to play these. You can just download them, run them, and you can jump straight in. I mean, I would argue that really, if you are playing these games, you should really have bought Stalker, to support the devs anyway. But also, I'll go back to the idea of often these games, these mods, they're made by people, programmers who love Stalker and have played the original games, dozens and dozens of times, and so now they're taking it to the next level in terms of more story and often more difficulty as well. So if you dive into something like Anomaly or Anomaly Gamma, it can be very, very difficult, and they're kind of assuming that you already know a lot about the characters that are in the game, and you'll know a lot about the locations and some of the basic ideas that you follow through as you go through the different stories and different quests. So bear that in mind. Now, Dr. X Call of the Zone, this is the idea with this is a different story. I guess you could say it's a sequel as well. It does have improvements, but it isn't as difficult as some of the others, specifically Anomaly and Gamma, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So that's that, but it doesn't look as good. So the famous ones you probably heard about is Stalker Anomaly and Stalker Anomaly Gamma, or Stalker Gamma. So Stalker Anomaly is kind of seen as, but by many, as the pinnacle of Stalker original trilogy modding. And what they've done is that over the years, many modders have kind of brought all the maps together and linked them together to create like a sandbox. And then there's lots of other mods. So Stalker Anomaly is basically this big sandbox, that has real difficult survival mechanics in it as well as a new storyline again that is set after the last of the original trilogy. So you've got all these other things to do in a more difficult, so you've got more crafting, you've got more survival, and you've got improved graphics. And it's a standalone game, so you can download it and you can just run it. But again, it's pretty complicated. So if you haven't played the original ones, you'll probably be wondering what on earth's going on. Now, Stalker Gamma is actually a mod for Anomaly, and it's actually a mod pack for Anomaly. So the idea is that Anomaly came out and people were like, well, this is amazing. It's really reliable. It doesn't crash as much. It's very smooth. All the basics are there, but I tell you what, we can make this even better with lots and lots of mods. But instead of you having to download mods individually and try and configure them and work out whether they'll work together and all this sort of stuff, with Gamma, which is Grok's automated modular mod pack for Anomaly, it downloads hundreds of mods and then loads them up before you go into Anomaly, so you have these incredible graphics and you have an even harder gameplay in terms of things you've got to do with weapons and surviving, and different quests as well. So, so there we go. But again, with something like Gamma, you're talking about, these are people who design this, who have played an awful lot of Stalker, who want more of a Stalker experience, a harder Stalker experience, a more immersive Stalker experience, getting away from anything that might even be considered arcadey. And OG vanilla Stalker is hard enough as it is. So there we go. So if you were going standalone, what I would probably recommend is, I would probably say maybe check out, after you've played the vanilla games, check out Dr. X Call of the Zone. Play some of Ordinary Anomaly, and then maybe play some of Gamma as well. Although the graphics do look a lot better with Gamma because it's a lot, a lot newer. Right, so hopefully that kind of explains the thing. We've got vanilla games, we've got add-ons mods for vanilla games, and then we've got the standalone games like Anomaly and what was the other one called? I always forget what it's called. Call of the Zone. And then you've got something like Gamma, which is a mod pack for Anomaly. So let's look at some graphics then. Okay, so let's look at some graphics. So what I've done is I've just kind of been wandering around the start village, so we can get a good idea. So let's just have a look. So this is, for example, Xbox. So if we kind of pause that, that's what you would see like on an Xbox. And this is vanilla PC. So if we wait until he turns around. So now the problem is I can't really set the time of day with these, but you can see they're pretty similar. They're pretty similar. So then let's go to, so this is actually vanilla PC, but with the HD textures for the environment and the buildings. So let's wait for it to turn around. So if we compare that to PC, again we've got more detail that we can see that way. Now this is Call of the Zone, which is the Dr. X one, which again is the standalone one. Now this one is a lot more basic. When you start to really dig deep into stuff like this, you can layer mods upon mods upon mods. So I wouldn't be surprised if you could install HD textures onto this as well to make it look better and make it look different. But where we really start to see the changes are with Anomaly and Gamma. So this is Anomaly, and I can control the time of day with this. So we're seeing a lot more detail in things like the grass. We've got a bigger field of view. The character there looks better. If we go back to vanilla PC, so that's vanilla PC. Then we go back to Anomaly. It looks great. Now let's look at Gamma. Now Gamma, remember, so Gamma is adding more mods on top of Anomaly to make it look really cool. So if we compare, so that's Anomaly, and that's Gamma, and we can see we've got the long grass, the textures look much better. I have got a depth of field effect on, but you can see there's a puddle there with some reflections in. It's looking very, very nice indeed. Now, your frame rate will take a hit with all of this stuff that's happening, but you could say that it's definitely worth it, because in the right light, and a lot of it depends on the time of day, depending on where the sun is, this is looking as good as something like Fallout 4. And mods of that ilk. So let's get to that section there. So that's Anomaly Gamma. So this is just plain Anomaly. It's looking good, isn't it? It's looking okay. Remember, this is a big open world as well. So as we come through, so we can pause that there. So the shadows look much better, don't they? The details. And then if we go back to, so this is Call of the Zone, Dr. X. Now this harks back really a lot more to sort of the vanilla game. So this is the HD textures of the vanilla game. So HD textures for buildings and the environment have been added. So let's stop that there. And let's go to vanilla PC. Stop that there. And then let's go to vanilla Xbox. Which, to be honest, again, when the light's in the right time of day, I think the vanilla Xbox version looks very, very nice indeed. I just wish they would bring the updates that they've brought to the Xbox and the PlayStation versions to the PC, especially things like gamepad support. So that's Xbox, that's vanilla PC. Again, I couldn't quite match the time of day, so there's more shadows, isn't there, in the Xbox one. The sun was a bit higher in the sky. So that's HD textures. If you look at this house here, we've got a lot more detail, there as well. And then Dr. X, again, it gets a bit smudgy. Then we move up to Anomaly. We're starting to see a lot more detail all around, bigger field of view, looking much better. Then Anomaly Gamma. It looks like it, you could argue, this game, looks 2010. I mean, the Stalker games were ahead of their time in terms of the graphical fidelity that they came up with. But, that does really look like an old game. Where this, that's looking pretty good, isn't it? So let's just go ahead. Let's have a look, see if we find somewhere else. So, come around here. Have a look. You can see all the nice lighting in there. Come around, walk a little bit through the village. Let's just stop that there. So you can see we've got the reflections in the water here. We've got the fire. Oh, it's all looking very nice, isn't it? Let's go back to standard anomaly. I mean, it all looks nice, doesn't it? It looks nice, especially if you use something like DayZ. And DayZ, again, don't get me wrong, in the right light, looks beautiful. See, there's no puddles on the floor or anything like here. So this is Dr. X, again, looking a bit plain. And also, through this, I would always say, it's the gameplay that makes Stalker, the gameplay and the gunplay that makes Stalker interesting and great to play. It's not the graphics. In fact, in most games, it's not really about the graphics that make them better, is it? It's about the fun you have when you're actually playing it. So this is the PC version, but with the HD textures. I mean, that looks very nice, doesn't it, if you ask me? Right, let's go back to vanilla PC. And then let's go back to vanilla Xbox.
А то взяти і послати цю знудовицю вийманцю. Загнешся тут за котячий чих, і слова доброго ніхто не скаже.
Okay, let's pause that there. So I think that looks very nice indeed. So we've got Xbox there, vanilla PC there, PC with HD textures. Looks pretty similar there, doesn't it? There's Dr. X, Call of the Zone, vanilla anomaly. In fact, we should probably get a bit closer, shouldn't we? There's vanilla anomaly. And here we have gamma anomaly. taking things. You could argue that it's a little bit too. You could probably do with turning the saturation down. But again, this is early morning sun that is coming in through the sky. That is absolutely fantastic looking. So there we go. Let me just pause that there, and we'll go back to. Let's have a look at. Let's have that up there. There we go. Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. So hopefully this is giving you a good idea about the lay of the land with the Stalker series of the games. The fact that you've got Shadow of Chernobyl is the first one, Clear Sky is the prequel that came out after Shadow of Chernobyl. Then you've got Call of Pripyat as the it's Call of Pripyat, isn't it? Yeah, Call of Pripyat as the last one. We've got Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, coming out November 2024, and then you move into the mods, and then we've got things like the add-on mods. For PC, so we've got the ZRP mod, which is making sure that the engine that runs the vanilla game is working to the best it can, and introduces lots of quality of life stuff, but doesn't change the game and doesn't change the graphics or the sound beyond fixing some bugs and stuff like that. You know, it's vanilla Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl you'll be playing, but it will just be running better on your PC. And then you get the add-on mods that make the game look better. So you've got things like Absolute Structures, and you've got Absolute Nature. Again, you can add these to the Zone Reclamation Pod mod version of Shadow of Chernobyl. Again, you're not changing the story, you're not changing the gunplay or the gameplay, you're just changing the way that the game looks and the fact that it runs a bit better. Then you've got the mods that do change the graphics and do change the gameplay and the story, like Memories of the Zone and Autumn Aurora 2, of which there are lots and lots of them. There's loads and loads of them, and I couldn't possibly mention all of them. If you are a Stalker fan and are experiencing this stuff, please tell me in the comment section down below the ones that you would recommend. Then you have the standalone games. So these basically is a different game that you can just download that's using the Stalker assets to give you a different story, different gameplay, and different gunplay. Something like Dr. X Call of the Zone is more akin to the difficulty levels of the original games, whereas you kind of then get Stalker Anomaly and Stalker Gamma, which is the mod pack for Anomaly, which make the game significantly more immersive, but also significantly more difficult as well, and are giving you a different storyline, different quests. They're set after the main trilogy have finished, and are really, for the people who have played through the Stalker games and now give me more Stalker, give me harder Stalker, give me better Stalker, give me hardcore Stalker. So there we go. Hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you found it informative. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. All the links will be in the description down below, and of course I'll see you again soon.